Hello, seventh graders. So in your Edmentum, in the last few slides of unit number 1, there is some language practice regards to independent and dependent clauses. So I want to give you just a little bit more information to explain them that might be a little more beneficial for you. So an independent clause has a subject and a verb or a predicate and has a complete thought or idea. So keep in mind that an independent clause always has a subject and predicate and has a complete thought or idea. So examples would be like the game was over. That is a complete thought. The subject is game. The verb is was. So it has a subject and a verb, and it has a complete thought. I like Jennifer. Again, this sentence is an example of an independent clause because it has a subject and a verb. The verb is like. Who or what likes Jennifer? I. And this one has a complete thought, so it has a period at the end. So those are pretty simple. Now, the difference is that dependent clause, it also has a subject and a predicate. However, it does not have a complete thought. So that's the big difference between an independent clause and a dependent clause, is that an independent clause has a complete thought. The dependent clause does not. So think of like if you're dependent on somebody, you are needing help. You're relying on somebody else. And that's the same thing with sentences. An independent is staying all by themselves, where a dependent clause needs help. Now, a dependent clause always starts with one of these subordinate conjunctions, so like after, although, as long as, because, before, even if, just as, in order that, like, once, since, so that, then, unless, until, when, whenever, and while. These will always, always, always start your dependent clause. So those are little clues that you can look for. So, for example, if I said after the game was over, this right here is a dependent clause because it's not a complete thought. If I said after the game was over, what? It's not expressing a complete thought. And again, I have after, which is a subordinate conjunction, which is right up here that you can see that starts my dependent clause. We headed to Pizza Hut to celebrate. That right there is an independent clause, has a subject and a verb, and can stand all by itself. In the second sentence right here, I like Jennifer because she is funny and crazy. Because she is funny and crazy is a dependent clause. Because I add the word because to it, it makes it dependent. If I just said because she is funny and crazy, that could stand alone. But when I add because in front of it, it changes it from an independent clause to a dependent clause. So it needs an independent clause with it. So I like Jennifer because she is funny and crazy. So just some takeaways. Remember that the difference between an independent and a dependent clause is they both have subject and predicates. It's that a dependent clause cannot stand by itself where an independent clause can. And a dependent clause will always start with these coordinating or these subordinating conjunctions. So if you need to look at this list right here as you're practicing in Edmentum, and this should help you with the independent and dependent clause. If you have any questions, please hit me up and have fun with the language. See you soon.